Self-Love is the New Sexy, the podcast devoted to helping you overcome life's most painful and stubborn challenges so you can feel great, have more energy, and live stress-free every day. To reach your full potential, simply work with the powerful spiritual principles that are readily accessible to everyone. It's easier than you think, and on today's show, W. Mark Watts is going to show you how starting with self-love is the key to joyously and harmoniously making that happen.
Hey everybody, it's W. Mark Watts. Welcome and thank you for hanging out with me for another episode of Self-Love is the New Sexy. And today's episode, the message is really simple. Remind yourself of your successes. Remind yourself of your successes. Now that's important because each project, each thing that I become a part of, especially if it's something that I'm doing on my own, there can always be, if it's something that's really worthwhile, and if it's something that's maybe different than the norm. And I'll give you a couple of examples in a minute. But what I've recognized is this little voice in my head that always starts to doubt if I can do it right away. Almost as soon as I decide seriously that I'm going to do something like a major project, that little voice starts to tell me reasons why I can't do things. For example, years ago when I started my first podcast, that little voice said, "You don't know what you're doing. Everybody's going to think you're crazy. You're going to fail." But I did it anyway. When I started investing, the first thought came to me was, you don't know anything about investing money yourself. How are you going to do this? You're going to lose all your money. You're going to fail at that. And when I wanted, or, when the universe spoke to me and said, hey, I need you to help people. I want you to coach them. I want you to talk to them. I want you to help them in any way, shape, or form that you can. My inner voice said, you can't help anybody. Who are you to help anybody? You're not going to be good at that. You've never done it before. Guess what? You're going to fail at that too. And so if you're like me, then there has to have been a time in your life when you wanted to do something or you decided to do something, and immediately that voice, that little subconscious voice, it's almost like it's waiting on you to do something different, waiting for you to step out of your comfort zone, waiting for you to step into your mission, waiting for you to help someone, waiting for you to do something good for yourself. Whatever the case may be, that little voice steps up and says, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's not going to work. You're going to fail. You suck at that. You don't know what you're doing. No one's going to care. They're going to laugh at you. You're going to hurt more than you're going to help. Who told you you could do that? All of those things can tend to pop in your mind. And, there's not a lot that we can do about it. So what I figured out over time is, hey, if that little voice is going to pop up every time I try to do something, then I've got to figure out a way to move through that. And I've got to figure out something that's easy for me, an easy way to do it, or an easy tool that I can use when that happens. Because that's what I've boiled my life down to is, hey, certain things are going to happen regardless of what I do. If I wake up every single day, there are going to be some challenges. If I choose to stay on my mission, if I want to improve myself, if I want to help people, I am going to face some challenges. So what can I do when those challenges come up to easily help me stay on track and help me move through them? And so this one in particular, this is why I did this podcast, which it won't be a long one because it's pretty to the point. There's not a whole lot to say about it. I've given you some examples. what I realized worked for me really well was one day I was sitting and I started, and another little voice, I'm grateful for all my little voices. Another little voice says, remember your high school graduation speech. You gave the benediction. That was a success. Remember when you were 8 years old, the first time that you picked up a basketball. It was pretty horrible, but by the end of that year, you were a totally different player. That was a success. And so then my mind started to give me over and over numerous things throughout my life where I had succeeded, where I had done well, where I had helped people, where I had been happy, and where I felt really good. And I thought, there is it. That's it. That's it. Not only was it very helpful, I can't remember what particular project I was working on at that time, but I do remember thinking, come back to that. Make sure you always do that. And it is simply this. We have to remind ourselves of our successes, because we too easily focus on the times when things didn't go well, the struggle, the challenges, the seeming failures, the times that were bad. We really easily focus on those. And the reason we do that is because they are so few and far between. It's like the train wreck or the car accident. It's out of the norm, so your mind remembers it more easily. It's more readily available because you've had so many successes that your mind's like, wow, I don't need to talk to them about that. That's normal. We're used to that. And so I want to remind you today is simply this. Remember your successes. Even though we are so successful each and every day, the way that we move through those tough times and those challenges, or a way to help us get going on that new whatever it is to recall the times when you've been successful and the things that you did when you were successful. Now, I'm going to get out of here on this because I want to keep this one kind of short today, but it's very simple. Remember your successes and what you did. And the only thing I want to mention tonight is the one thing that you did to be successful is, guess what? You took the first step. And then the next thing you did is you kept going. You didn't stop. It's just that simple. Life is not that difficult. The older I get, the more I realize life is not very complicated. There are going to be challenges. You have to find ways through them or around them or above them, below them, however you want to define what you do when challenges arise. But you got to find a way to move forward. Simple. And when that little voice in your mind pops up and says you can't do that, you're going to fail, you're going to suck, they're going to laugh, you're not good at this, you can't help, then we have to combat that with the whole laundry list, as many as you need in our mind. You have to remind yourself that I've been succeeding all of my life in things that I've taken on, that I've done. And here's a list of them, and just list them out. And the way you're going to get through that next challenge is decide what you're going to do and then move forward. Take that first step and don't stop. Don't stop. That's the key, is to keep going, keep moving. Keep moving forward. And there's a song by, I think the group is Soul to Soul, Keep On Moving. Keep on moving. And I would sing it, but I don't want to hurt your all's eardrums in this episode, but because I am an absolutely horrible singer. However, keep on moving is the battle cry. Keep on moving. So when that little voice says you can't, your task, your goal is to immediately start to think about all the times that you've been successful, and then decide to take that first step and keep on moving. All right, folks, I'm going to get out of here on that. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you as always. I look forward to speaking with you all again real soon. Keep on moving. I love you all. Bye now.
You've been listening to Self-Love is the New Sexy with W. Mark Watts. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to tell a friend. Also, make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to our show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, or wherever you listen to podcasts.